Welcome to the Valareso Capital community, where we discuss the stock market and trading strategies to become a consistently profitable trader and investor. Hey traders, welcome back to Valareso Capital. On today's video, we're going to go through the weekly watch list and we're also going to take a look at the market update. It has been a crazy week, but if you take a look at the last video that we did here in the channel, which was the weekly update video for last week, you are going to see that actually what happened in the market, what actually meet the expectation that we had for the week. We actually got the pullback for the ES futures all the way to that 50 daily moving average. And of course, we also got the pullback of the NQ to that 15,000 level that we were talking about. So nothing about what happened last week came as a surprise. If you have been following the channel, then you know that I do my absolute best to keep you on the right side of the market. And for this week, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna do our best analysis to keep ourselves in the right side of the market, creating a roadmap for next week. So remember guys that this video is for informational purposes only, is based just on my personal opinion and is not financial advice. Remember also guys to subscribe to the channel, that way you can keep yourselves updated with all the videos that are coming here in the channel. So let's start here. Let me make myself a little bit smaller here and let's start with the analysis that we're gonna do in the market. So first chart that I wanna analyze here is gonna be the ES, which are the E-mini futures for the S&P 500. And I actually love what we're seeing right here because it actually met the expectation that we had last week. You can see right here that the S&P is coming right into that 50 daily moving average, which is something pretty normal in an uptrend, right? You can see that we had this amazing move to the upside. We came into this 4,600 level and now we're pulling back all the way to that 50 daily moving average on the futures contracts of the S&P 500. And you can start to see that we are actually starting to see some wicks, some shadows at this level of support. And we actually had this kind of, it's not a hammer candle because we didn't close near the highs and it is a red candle, but you can start to see that we're starting to see a little bit of support at these levels. So what is going to be the expectation for next week? You can see right here that momentum continues to be negative. So we have to understand that the momentum and the selling pressure continues to be stronger than the buying pressure. That's why we're starting to see this pullback. The expectation for next week, as we continue to hold this 50 level here in the trend oscillator, is going to look for a bounce, right? My expectation is to actually look for a bounce here in the ES that is going to come somewhere around this level right here. You can see that I have my alert already set. So this one is we're probably going to see a bounce a little bit above that 4,500 area. And I do have the expectation that we're going to see a little bit of resistance here. You can see that we also have the anchor VWAP, which is anchored from this high right here, the high that we made somewhere around 4,634. I do have an anchor VWAP there, and you can also see that we have some structure resistance at this level. So the expectation is going to be to look for a bounce. And then perhaps after we get that bounce, we're probably going to get a little bit of rejection. And now the question is, if that rejection is going to take us lower. So we first have to see how the market handles these lows right here, but I do think that we're going to see a bounce in the markets. And let me just show you the chart of the SPX, which is of course showing the same thing, but I think it's interesting to analyze it as well because we can see some very important levels here in terms of the gamma that we tend to see on the puts and the calls and everything. The SPX is actually pretty good for that. You can see right here that we do have a lot of support at 4,450. We're starting to see a little bit of a bounce here. You can see that we had a structure support. We also have that 50 daily moving average and we have this gap. The expectation is basically the same. Look for a bounce right here in the SPX, and then perhaps for that bounce, let me just take these alerts out. And then perhaps after we get that bounce, we're probably going to get a rejection. Now the question is, are we going to hold this 4,450 level, or we actually are going to test this 4,400 level? A lot of people are talking about this 4,400 level. I do think that even if we happen to see a move like this, I do think that we're going to see a lot of support here, and then my expectation is going to see actually a resolve to the upside. But of course, that's going to be a conversation for the next couple of weeks. Right now, the expectation is look for a bounce, look for a resistance somewhere around 4,500 in the SPX, somewhere around 4,550 on the ES futures. And of course, if you are a student of the Anchor VWAP, also look for that Anchor VWAP anchor from the swing high that we had at 4,600. So that's basically going to be the expectation for the market. In summary, I'm looking for some bouncing action. So I'm using the ES and the SPX as my compass for that. But we, of course, can take a look at some other indexes like the RTY, which is the IWM futures contracts. And you can see right here that we're starting to see a little bit of the same action. We came all the way from this level of resistance at 2,000, and now we're coming all the way to 1900, which makes sense, right? It is a pullback that makes sense. You can see right here that we are holding a structure support, and we are also holding this 50 daily moving average. So I don't see anything super bearish about this. I think that the pullbacks that we're seeing in the market are actually pretty constructive, and they're coming into logical support areas, which I think is very important to understand. So I don't think that this is the end of the bull market, even though a lot of people are saying like, oh my God, Nvidia is breaking down. And we can take a look at Nvidia here. And yes, Nvidia is breaking down. You can see right here that we did not find support at that 50 daily moving average, which makes sense. Makes sense because everyone is talking about Nvidia. The moment that Nvidia gapped on earnings, everyone has been buying Nvidia. So it makes sense that we do not hold this 50 daily moving average as perfect as everyone was expecting. Now, I wouldn't buy Nvidia here, right? Everything about Nvidia is broken, right? We have negative momentum in both of my indicators, and also price is below this structure level. So are we going to see a bounce in Nvidia? I don't know, but I don't think that this is super bearish. Of course, I do want to see Nvidia at least hold the gap that we had on earnings, and then perhaps we're going to see a longer base. But I don't think that the market is looking like super bearish to make the assumption that the bull market that started is over. So I don't think that's necessarily true, because the charts continue to be bullish. Now the question is, where is the strength? And here comes the next part of the video, which is basically the focus list that we're going to be focusing on. So I only have 4 names, and I prefer just to share I prefer to focus on less than 5 names. I think that's optimal, and I think that makes the execution pretty easy when we're coming into next week. So what are the charts that I'm looking at? The first chart is going to be the YM. The YM is the future contracts for the Dow Jones, basically the DIA, and you can see right here that the S&P, right? Remember, the S&P is testing the 50 daily moving average. The RTY is testing the 50 daily moving average. If we take a look at the NQ, you can see right here that the NQ is testing this 15,000 level. So we are slightly below that 50 daily moving average. But the YM, in the other hand, which is the chart that we were taking a look at, is actually holding the 21 EMA wave. So this is actually pretty remarkable, right? You can see right here that we're holding the 21 EMA wave, and we are also holding this structure support right here. So this is actually pretty bullish. And my expectation, and you can see right here that momentum is holding support as well. So, and also we're starting to see a squeeze. And the last time that we had a squeeze, when momentum was holding, we had a pretty strong move to the upside. So my expectation is to see a repetition of this pattern. Probably not as strong as the last time that we saw a rally in the Dow Jones, but maybe we're going to test this level right here. Maybe we're going to test 36,000. So I think that this setup is looking pretty bullish. I think that the risk to reward ratio, the reward to risk ratio is actually pretty good. You can set a stop right below this level right here, and then you can look for a target right here. Of course, if we are able to clear that anchor VWAP, then that's going to be further confirmation that the Dow Jones wants to move higher. And then the next chart that I want to take a look at is going to be the XLF. Take a look at XLF, right? XLF right now is one of the leading sectors in the market. And you can clearly see right here that we broke above this 200 daily moving average. And you can see that we had a strong move to the upside. And if we take a look back at the ES, the RTY, the NQ, and we can also take a look at other indexes like the XLK and like other sectors like the XLK, XLC, and all those sectors, you can see that the XLF is holding pretty well. You can see that we're holding that 21 EMA wave. We're holding this structure support right here, and we're starting to form kind of a flag, right? For now, this is just a bull flag. We had a strong move to the upside. We're pulling back into support. We're holding momentum, and we're starting to develop a squeeze. So the expectation is to see more upside in the XLF. I think that this setup is looking pretty clean. And then, of course, we can take a look at the WTFC, which is a financial name. This is one of the leading sectors right now, which is regional banks. Right now, we have some of the leading sectors right now in the market. If you take a look at a 3-month relative strength scan, you're going to see that we have a lot of regional banks, we got a lot of saving banks, and we had a lot of major banks. So that's telling us something, right? You can see right here that while the market was correcting, WTFC is just moving sideways. It's just flagging. So this one is looking pretty nice. If you like the anchor VWAP, perhaps if we can clear it, then we're probably going to move to the first target that is going to be somewhere around 87. So this setup is looking pretty nice. And then we have TCBI, which is also in the finance area. You can see right here that this is a major bank, and this is doing exactly the same. We had a very strong move to the upside, and now we're just holding sideways. So this for me is looking like a flag. Momentum is positive, and we're starting to develop a squeeze. Why not a breakup to the upside? You can have your stops somewhere below this level right here, and then looking for a nice breakup to the upside. So this one is looking pretty nice. So in summary, guys, I do think that we're going to see a bounce in the market. Now the question is, how do you want to position for that possible bounce? And the most important thing that you can do is look at what sectors are leading, right? Because if we happen to get a bounce, if you're positioned in some names that have break to the downside, like for example, let's say DDoc, right? DDoc broke to the downside, right? We had earnings, we had a gap down. You don't want to buy this. Or SMCI, a lot of people talking about this name. This one is breaking to the downside. So if you want to capture the most for a bounce in the markets, you have to focus on the sectors that are leading. That's one of the easiest ways to trade a market that is ranging. That is the easiest way to trade a market that is trending. That is just the easiest way to trade. So in conclusion, focus on the leading sectors, and the expectation is looking for a bounce next week. And then of course we're gonna see if that bounce is met with resistance, or that we're probably gonna continue to the upside. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. I hope that you have an amazing weekend, and I will see you on future videos. Take care, and bye bye.